Once again, we're at Homebush Bay, the site of the 2000 Olympic Games, as the 1998 Australian Fast Pitch Championships continue. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Michael Palmer. Well, today we're going to see an elimination final between the Australian Capital Territory and South Australia. Queensland are already in the grand final. We saw that last week, and now we're looking for an opponent for them over the next few weeks. The ACT lineup has been the better performed one, but we'll find out more about that as I'm joined in commentary by retired Australian captain and Atlanta Olympian Joyce Lester. Joyce, the ACT have the more experienced lineup. Can South Australia overcome them?
I believe South Australia are going to struggle this game, Michael. They've had poor batting form all week, and Selena Follis is their leading hitter. The only other player I believe that could really be a damage would be Tracy Mosley. For the ACT team, Sally McCready's been hitting the ball so well. I'm expecting a great game from her, and also Carolyn Crudgington should be pitching. She's been picked up from Queensland to actually try and help out the ACT team. I know that South Australia will struggle this game, and I'm sure that ACT will come out the winners.
Well, we're just about set for this big knockout semi-final. There are your 6 umpires as appointed by the Australian Softball Federation, and the key person, Kerry Franklin from Victoria, has got the plate on this game between South Australia and the Australian Capital Territory. South Australia will be batting first, and Tracy Mosley leads off, followed by Selena Follis and Tiana Westbury, who's hitting .318. Then comes Simone Morrow, Melissa McGee, Shelley Neller, Danny Moffat, Annette Fidge, and the right fielder bats 9th. It's Michelle Creek. Defensively, of course, for the ACT, around the outfield, Nicole Lawrence, Shelley Moore and Natasha Devlin. The infielders, Kate Judge, Lisa Pridham, Susie Brown and Alison Shea. Behind the plate is the catcher, Joanne Brown, and pitching for the ACT, former Queensland representative, Carolyn Crudgington. Another good crowd in. It's been a really well-attended national championship here at Homebush. Carolyn Crudgington comes in having pitched 23 innings, got 34 strikeouts, and she's getting set to start the game by pitching to shortstop Tracy Mosley.
ACT have been looking good with the bat so far, but certainly they'll be looking forward to Carolyn Crudgington having a big game today.
And of course this important game, as we see Tracy Mosley hitting 174, the loser is eliminated and the winner goes on to play Victoria.
Tracy Mosley's a great hitter. She was in the Australian team a few years back, and although she's not batting well this tournament, you know, she can hit the ball over the fence at any time, so they're going to have to pitch fairly tight to Tracy.
You see part of the enthusiastic crowd that's continually been attending this national championship.
Oh, nice pitch by Carolyn Crudgington. That inside pitch that just has that tiny little curve on it, it's really hard for batters to pick up.
Great pitch. Change up, just took a lot off that, and it lobs in for a strike on the outside corner. She's pretty happy with that. 2 balls and 2 strikes. This ball hit hard up the middle, pitch set up on the outside. Tracy Mosley got after it and hit it into centre field, where it's handled by Shelley Moore, and she's got the first base hit of the game.
And that's a great hit from Mosley on the outside. Slams it straight up through the middle to centre field. That's going to be definitely a boost for South Australia.
Yeah, they've really struggled a little bit during the round. They only won 2 games during the round-robin competition, so it's important for them to establish themselves here. And Tracy Mosley has really set the tone. She's at first base, and here's Selena Follis. Selena Follis squares to bunt, but decides to pull away at the last minute as the pitch is inside.
She obviously wants a good strike to put down.
There it is, bunts it down in front of home plate. Carolyn Crudgington handles it, throws over to first where Susie Brown's come across to make the put out. So Selena Follis does a great job with the sacrifice bunt.
She gets right over top of it, makes sure it goes right down on the ground, and gets that runner through to second base.
So there we have Tracy Mosley at second base here in the top of the first inning. Tiana Westbury hitting .318, really been one of the better South Australian players. Steps into the batter's box. 1 home run, couple of runs batted in.
Well, it's unusual to see Tiana playing for South Australia. She's played for Australian Capital Territory, but was originally a New South Wales player. Tiana hits the ball hard. She's very, very aggressive. Anyone who's ever played against her, the one thing they always say about Tiana is she's in there and she's swinging hard all the time.
Goes after that one, but fouls it back. So Tracy Mosley will return to second base as the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike.
And she's going to have a hard time hitting that outside ball. Her lead foot's going right out to the left side and leaning out to those outsides.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Throw over to second base, but not in time. Nice play by ACT catcher Joe Brown. Tracy Mosley gets back.
2 balls, 1 strike.
A nice pitch from Carolyn Crudgington. A drop on the outside corner, and Westbury swings through.
I think that's the right place to keep it with Tiana. Keep the ball down, and on a slower pace is even better. That's great work from Crudgington and Brown.
Westbury goes after this and lofts it down the right field line. It drops in fair. Natasha Devlin comes around. Tracy Mosley heads around into third base. So it gives us runners at first and third.
There Tiana goes again. That left foot's out there. She's wide open and she's just almost check swung round. It's almost like she placed it over there to right field to get that run around.
She really did open herself up early in the batter's box and got the outside pitch, pushed it down the right field line, and it's worked out very well for South Australia. They're off to a good start here in the first inning as Simone Morrow steps into the batter's box.
Nice pitch again from Crudgington.
Yeah, already she seems to have good control of that drop ball and starting down in there at the last minute. And these South Australian hitters are swinging over it. Simone Morrow goes after that one, fouls it back. She's the centre fielder for South Australia, hitting .278. And Westbury and Morrow have really formed a pretty good team in the middle of this batting order. South Australia hitting only .208 as a team, but been relying on their number 3 and 4 hitters all through the tournament. Great pitch, outside corner, and she wasn't expecting it there. Leaves it, and that's the second out. First strike out of the game for Carolyn Crudgington.
See that ball just dropping down at the last minute too, but on a great edge there on the outside. Fantastic.
Well, with 2 out, we've still got runners at first and third for South Australia, and third base, Melissa McGee.
She wanted to hit that ball. The hands went down. She was ready. Pulled out at the last minute.
Waits for that one and drives it into centre field, but straight at Shelley Moore. So it was a well-hit ball with 2 base runners, but Melissa McGee is retired. Carolyn Crudgington gets out of a jam in the first inning. This is a good piece of hitting. The pitch is down the middle. She lifts it, but hits it straight at Shelley Moore. So that does the trick for the ACT. We played half an inning, South Australia nothing, and the ACT coming up. And of course, as usual, leading off for the ACT, designated hitter Sally McCready hitting .421. Then Natasha Devlin, Joanne Brown at 364 and Lisa Pridham. Susie Brown the second base, Alison Shea, Kate Judd hits 7, Shelley Moore in the 8th spot, and batting 9th the left fielder Nicole Lawrence. And out in the defence for South Australia around the outfield, Danny Moffat, Simone Morrow and Michelle Creek. In the infield, Melissa McGee, Tracy Mosley, Selena Follis and Annette Fidge. Behind the plate is the catcher, Tiana Westbury. And pitching for South Australia, Kylie Holmes. Kylie Holmes thrown 15 innings so far in the tournament, 6 walks and 10 strikeouts, and has been pretty much South Australia's most effective pitcher.
Kylie's been playing for South Australia for a long time and come through the junior ranks. You know, when she's on, she has a great game. It's really difficult for the batters to get some good hits, so they'll be relying on Kylie quite a bit to be in top form today.
But one of the biggest challenges in Australian softball for Kylie straight away, and that is pitching to Sally McCready. Sally comes in hitting .421, 1 home run, 4 runs batted in, and has been in fabulous form throughout this tournament.
Well, obviously they're pitching around it. They don't want to give it too much.
Yeah, they've really got to be very careful. I mean, it's unusual to see a hitter of Sally's power and consistency batting in the lead-off spot, but it certainly makes an interesting start to the top of the order.
Well, it does. Probably Richard wants Sally to get on base early and for the rest of the lineup to hit around. She's such a power hitter that these days she hits a lot of safe hits and just every now and then gets a home run. Probably not as often as she used to, but I think her batting average is escalated quite a bit.
Yeah, she's certainly got a very good approach to hitting and has become incredibly consistent. And he's got a good knowledge of the strike zone, lays off that pitch on the outside corner.
I mean, when you think about it, anyone who has their own batting machine and their own batting nets in their backyard, they've got to be a good hitter.
Yeah, she's got lots of opportunity to practice and has really made the most of it. And that pitch was just in there, dropped down, and it's caught a strike, and Kylie Holmes strikes out Sally McCready for the first out.
That's a big out for South Australia. Oh, and it looked like it was in there too. It just came down at that last moment.
Yeah, good call from Kerry Franklin behind the plate. Sally McCready's back in the dugout, and it brings up right fielder Natasha Devlin.
Kylie just dropping that ball away from the batters, which is excellent.
This ball hit into shortstop. Oh. That's a nice play by Tracy Mosley. The ball was almost behind her when she got it. Throws over to Annette Fidge for the second out.
And that's typical of Tracy Mosley. She's always been renowned for her fantastic fielding. Gets behind it, just shoves that glove out, steadies herself and makes a great throw.
You see it again, the ball hit all the way along on the ground. Natasha Devlin beats it out hard to first base, but not in time as Annette Fidge takes the throw. Richard McCready down at third base. The coach of the ACT team is Joanne Brown. Is in the batter's box. She's hitting .364.
You'd think Tiana Westbury as a catcher for this game is probably a good choice. She's been playing with the ACT team for a while. She missed out on the ACT team and South Australia have picked her up. Good choice from South Australia. She's been playing well for them.
Nice pitch on the outside corner. That's one that I think Joanne Brown probably wishes she'd gone after. It was sitting right there. Leaves it alone though on 3 balls and no strikes, and the count runs to 3 balls and 1 strike.
You always wonder with 3 balls, you know, you expect they're going to come back at you, but I think you should always be ready to hit it because that's usually the best pitch that any pitcher is going to throw at you.
That's right, and we saw in last week's game, Tanya Harding hit the big home run.
Yes, on that count, exactly.
3 balls and no strikes. But this one's popped up in foul territory behind first base. Annette Fidge comes across, handles it comfortably, and that retires the ACT. It was a pretty good swing, but she really got under it, drifts away, and Fidge covers it comfortably. So we've played one complete inning now. As you see this ball, Joanne Brown can't quite believe it. She's just going to watch it come down. It's a great shot with Annette Fidge there. And that's one complete inning done here at Homebush, and the score remains 0-all. Well, after picking up a couple of hits in the first inning, South Australia get their second turn at bat, and they send up the designated hitter, Shelley Neller. She comes in hitting .222, no home runs, but 1 run batted in. Carolyn Crudgington struggled a little bit early on in the first inning, but once she really established that drop ball and got the ball down in the strike zone, she was much more effective.
Well, she certainly was. And I think she's, once she gets past that uncertain start, you know, and consolidates herself, she's fine.
And there she is on the pitcher's plate. Been a wonderful addition to the ACT team this year after spending several seasons playing for Queensland.
She's almost unrecognisable in the blue uniform, I think.
Exactly, for all those years. That was a great pitch there as she jumps out ahead of Shelley Neller in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. This ball hit into the dirt, chopped up to third base. Kate Judd throws across comfortably to Alison Shade, and that retires Shelley Neller for the first out.
And that's just a typical out from a drop ball there as the ball heads down, batter tops it, hits it into the ground, makes an easy out for the ACT team.
So a good start to the second inning for Carolyn Crudgington, and now she faces Danny Moffat, the left fielder. Great pitch on the outside. Moffat swings through it.
She looks like she's going to left field. With the ball on the outside, she's definitely swinging for the fence on the left side.
Yeah, we saw Tiana Westbury look like she was going to pull everything and eventually hit it down the right field line, and Danny Moffat's approaching it the same way. Certainly looked like she wanted to pull that pitch as well. Swings through it for the second strike.
Yes, that was a good call by Joey Brown in the catching position.
Good spot for that pitch after they got ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. Just throw one up out of the strike zone, see if they can get her to chase it, but Danny Moffat lays off it.
It's good to see Carolyn out there smiling and looking like she's enjoying herself. That's usually when you know she's going to pitch well. She looks nice and relaxed.
This ball hit in the air out to centre field. Shelley Moore backs back, but handles it comfortably, gets herself set under it, and takes the fly ball for the second out.
She's right under there. Her back shoulder's way down underneath that ball. It had nowhere else to go but up in the air.
And we see the South Australian dugout. They've started pretty well. They haven't scored, but they've been making reasonable contact against Carolyn Crudgington. And now the number 8 hitter in the lineup, the first base, Annette Fidge. Just the one hit so far in the tournament for Annette. She's 1 for 15, hitting .067.
That's good from Crudgington. You know, she's had a hard couple of years working hard at her technique because she's had a bit of problem. And here she is moving the ball quite well, and it's good to see. And that's a better rise from Carolyn than I've seen for a while too. Nice pitch.
Yeah, she'd really been relying on the drop ball until then, but through that nice rise, up past Annette Fidge, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Change up that she lifts into the infield. Another good pitch from Carolyn Crudgington, and it's well handled by Kate Judd. Alison Fidge replaying the shot in her mind, but Kate Judd handles it comfortably for the third out.
South Australia just seemed to be too early on all of Carolyn's pitches. They're right out early and that back shoulder's right underneath it.
And there we are, 1.5 innings down. South Australia have got a couple of hits, but the game remains scoreless as we go to the bottom of the second inning. And clean-up hitter for the ACT, Lisa Pridham, their shortstop, comes into face Kylie Holmes and rips it into left field. First pitch she saw. It's a good piece of hitting. Danny Moffat handles it out there, and Lisa Pridham's got things started for the ACT.
First pitch down, and she just goes out there and whacks it right through to left field. That's a good start for ACT.
It was a good piece of hitting. Really got great extension and got out in front of the pitch and launched it into left field. So she's at first base, and here's Susie Brown.
And this is Susie Brown's forte. She's very good at advancing runners. She's a good team player for the ACT team.
Richard McCready over at third base, running through a series of signs so that the hitter and the base runner know what play is going to be on this pitch.
Not quite what she wanted there, I don't think.
No, it looked like Lisa Pridham got a pretty good lead off first base in the hope that Susie Brown could slap the ball onto the ground, but it wasn't to be. She does it with this one, though, and hits it down the left field line, but just foul, just hooked outside third base. That was a pretty close thing, but she heads back to the batter's box, and Lisa Pridham goes back to first.
Well, it was a perfect pitch for her to slap, actually. It was right up there. Probably the worst place for it to be when someone's going to slap. Oh, nice pitch.
That was a nice pitch, but just a little bit low. I think Kylie Holmes really wanted that to be a strike.
Well, Susie Brown looks like she thought it might have been, actually. She has a big smile on her face.
Kerry Franklin behind the plate, one of the better umpires in Australian softball, decided that it was too low. Susie Brown hits this one, just the same as Lisa Pridham had done before her. Drives it into left field. Little fumble from Danny Moffat. Back-to-back hits for the ACT here in the bottom of the second.
That's a timely hit for Susie Brown. I mean, they really wanted to put the ball in play and get the runner on two, but now she's got a self-safe as well.
Tiny little fumble in left field, but did no further damage. So now we've got first and second, no one out, and first base player, Alison Shea. And she goes after the first pitch as well, back to the net. Tiana Westbury chases hard, but can't come up with it.
Well, this is quite unusual because with runners on 1 and 2, often they'll put on a bunt to try and get the two runners round into scoring position. Richard McCready obviously believes in this batter and thinks she can get the safe hit to get them round.
Three hits so far in the tournament for Alison Shea. 1 run batted in, and she'd like to get a 4th hit and add to that run batted in total and put the ACT on front. Great change-up. Nice pitch from Kylie Holmes.
That's excellent. I believe ACT are going to be losing Ali Shea next year. She's up to North Queensland with a teaching job.
This ball is hit hard and deep to left field. It's got a chance to go out, and it does. A big 3-run homer for Alison Shea. Richard McCready let her swing away, and she delivers, and the ACT lead 3-0.
Oh, that's amazing. That gets her runs batted in average certainly up quite a bit. And what a time to do it too, right in the finals when you need it.
Yeah, it's a big game, a knockout final, and the ACT wanted to get on top. That pitch was up in the strike zone, and Alison Shea just launched it, lifted it over the left field fence, and there it disappears, and the ACT have jumped out 3-0.
Well, it's amazing because she didn't take a follow-through or anything. She actually stopped after she met the ball, and it still went over the fence. Would have been amazing to see her take a full shot.
And that's going to be all for Kylie Holmes on the mound. A pretty quick response from South Australia, and Cheryl Lee Godfrey comes into the ball game. There's nobody out. We're still in the bottom of the second, and Kate Judd is now at the plate for the ACT.
And Shirley Godfrey is a pickup player for South Australia, and she's from Queensland. You know, she's had a great start. She was best pitcher in the series in her under-19 turn, so, you know, she's a good pitcher.
You're surprised they made the change so quickly. Kylie Holmes, except for that one high pitch there that was hit out, seemed to be doing pretty well against the ACT batters.
Well, it's not such a bad move. I think if you decide, you know, once they get a certain amount of hits, then you get your pitcher out of there, then that's a good decision.
And what a good start for Cheryl Lee Godfrey. It's paid off already. She strikes out Kate Judd here for the first out.
That'll make Shirley feel at home on the plate in the middle.
Yeah, it's really the start that South Australia wanted from her after the 3 hits in a row to the ACT. She gets that first out and now pitches to Shelley Moore, the centre fielder.
Shelley's got a very, very short bat there. She's obviously a slapper and a runner. Doesn't hit the ball too hard. Hope she doesn't prove me wrong. Oh, well, she shifted her hands now.
Yeah, she certainly did. She had the bat held well up the handle, and then just before that pitch, she dropped her hands down and really looked like she was going to take a full cut at it. So just trying to show some versatility in the batter's box, but failed that one off.
Come in quick, Michelle. Ready to come in quick.
Just missed up. 3 balls and 1 strike now on Shelley Moore. 1 out here in the bottom of the second. ACT leads 3-0. And that pitch down in the dirt, and that means that Shelley Moore picks up a walk. She's going to head down to first base, and we'll see the left fielder, Nicole Lawrence.
Really inconsistent for Shirley. Comes in and gets 1K2, and the next batter gives her a walk. She needs to get in there and be throwing that ball right where the catcher's calling them.
And here is Nicole Lawrence in the batter's box. And she's making like she's going to hit the ball and slap it into the dirt. 2 hits so far, 1 run batted in. But this so far has been a wonderfully productive inning for the ACT, and she'd love to keep it going. Lays down the bunt. Looks like a good one. Here comes third base, Melissa McGee, but makes a good play over to Selena Follis, who was covering it first, and get the second out.
That's a good bunt from her. Very slow roller, but the third base didn't look like she was in, and she looked like she wasn't expecting it.
Still managed to jump on it and throws over. That puts Shelley Moore at second base. She goes. Going to steal third base, but not in time. Get a good throw off from Tiana Westbury. Pretty aggressive base running from Shelley Moore, particularly with Sally McCready at the plate, and it doesn't pay off. You see her get that good jump. Westbury, just from her knees, makes a perfect throw to third base to McGee, and there it is. They get her, and that ends the inning. A wonderfully productive inning for the ACT. We got the big home run from Alison Shea, and they now lead by 3 runs to nothing.
We hope you're enjoying Fast Pitch Softball.
Well, a great second inning for the ACT. As you see, Kerry Franklin, the home plate umpire. ACT picked up 3 hits and got 3 big runs. Put themselves in front in this knockout semi-final. And now as we enter the third inning, South Australia sent up their right fielder, Michelle Creek.
It's a nice piece. South Australia really need to get these runners on base and get them around. Take the pressure off and start putting it back on the Australian Capital Territory.
They've really come out swinging though, haven't they? They haven't been sitting back or waiting. You know, a lot of batters gone after the first pitch, even if they've fouled them off. They've tried to be aggressive, but they just haven't really turned it into scoring opportunities.
They had those runners on base early in the piece, and they should have counted on their next 2 hitters to try and bring them in, but I mean, they left them standing out there. You know, that makes a big difference.
This ball, she reaches out, hits it down past first base, but it just rolls away foul. It's handled over there by Alison Shea, first base for ACT, and of course it was her who hit the big 3-run home run. It's put the smile temporarily on Carolyn Crudgington's face.
The pressure's off Carolyn at the moment.
Another great pitch, drop ball on the outside. Michelle Creek chases it and strikes out.
It just fades away to nothing. That's a great pitch from Crudgington.
Go guys, do it, come on.
Here's Tracy Mosley again. Had a hit last time up to bat. You wouldn't want to be pitching her too many strikes.
No, she's raised her average over 200 for the tournament, and she's the sort of player that can really get hot in a game. She's off to a good start, but she fouls that one back. It's handled by Joanne Brown.
And that's exactly what the battery want her to do, to sort of start swinging at balls.
Yeah, really get her off balance in the batter's box so she doesn't make that nice strong stroke that she did to hit the ball back through the middle into centre field to open the game with a hit.
Well, Tracy Mosley's a bit of a character. And she loves hitting foul balls. That's one thing I always remember about her. I think I can remember many times sitting back 10, 15 foul balls. Come on, Tracy.
Just hit it anywhere but foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Tracy Mosley. And hits it hard again, exactly in the identical spot. That's incredible. Wonderful piece of hitting again by Tracy Mosley. Got the same pitch and the same result.
Straight up through the middle. That's a great hit, Tracy. Second hit for this game.
And it goes out to centre field. Shelley Moore handles it out there, but Tracy Mosley jogs comfortably up to first base. So she's there with 1 out, and now batting is Selena Follis. Lifts this one really high in the air. Back to the screen. Here comes Jo Brown. She's got a player. What a wonderful catch against the fence. Fantastic.
That's a great catch from Brown. Right on the fence. That's tough.
She was heading back to the fence and she had to run off at an angle, and she was off balance when she got to the screen, but still managed to grab the ball and make the out.
She has her eyes on it the whole way. Gets there. Oh, and smash right into the fence.
Selena Follis, you can see her just looking up at it, and Jo Brown didn't take her eyes off it, just headed over. Follis watches Jo Brown chase it down, and that is fantastic. Real commitment and a great result. Second out.
It was even better because she actually didn't get the runner through to second base. I would have thought Tracy might have had to go then.
Yes, Tiana Westbury hits the ball into right field. So South Australia come out swinging, but they end up with nothing to show for it. Tracy Mosley's left at first base. Jo Brown takes the wonderful catch, and here Tiana Westbury flies out to Natasha Devlin.
Tiana's getting a good piece of the ball today.
And the score remains ACT 3 and South Australia nothing. And back to the top of the order, Sally McCready was in the batter's box in the last inning when Shelley Moore was thrown out to end the inning, but she didn't complete a turn at bat, so she leads off here.
And obviously that's why McCready did it. He obviously sent the runner through and thought, well, too bad if she gets out, we'll have McCready leading off for us next time up.
And immediately, Cheryl Lee Godfrey falls behind Sally McCready. 2 balls and no strikes. Kylie Holmes struck out Sally McCready in the first inning, so she'll be looking to turn that around. And she does, hits this hard off the glove of the pitcher over to second base, but gives Selena Follis no chance. Great piece of contact by Sally McCready, and she's at first base with no one out.
And she pounds it into the ground, and unluckily for Shirley Godfrey, she doesn't quite get a glove to it. It sort of bounces off.
Yeah, the pitcher just 40 feet away. This ball got to her really quickly. It was a good effort even to get a hand up, and it bounces away to second.
Well, Shirley Godfrey took her eyes off it just at that time too. I wonder if she had kept her eyes there, whether she actually would have made that out.
Here's Natasha Devlin, slaps the ball to shortstop.
Excellent play.
Really was, and a wild throw. Tracy Mosley throws it away. Here comes Sally McCready around third. It's going to be close at the plate. She makes it. Great base running. Everyone ran away to get the ball. Nobody covered home, and McCready kept coming, and she scores.
This is a great slap through to the pivot there. Obviously a hit and run play from McCready, because Sally McCready was often stealing on that hit. And Tash Devlin, that was just so well placed and well timed.
There's the catcher looking for someone to throw it to. Eventually she gives it to Cheryl Lee Godfrey, but not in time as Sally McCready dives in under. Great slide, and that's the 4th run of the game for the ACT.
This is excellent for the Australian Capital Territory. They're really hitting the ball well, forcing errors and pushing those runners round. And Shirley Godfrey does not look happy at this moment.
There's Natasha Devlin at third base. Jo Brown pops it up and foul, and just like Sally McCready, who came all the way from first base on that hit in the infield, Natasha Devlin, she just kept running as well, and she found herself down at third base. Very aggressive play from the ACT, and a little mix-up on defence from South Australia. And the ACT have got a great chance now. They're already 4-0 in front to extend the lead even further.
And that was interesting from McCready, putting a bunt on Joe Brown there. Obviously wants another run and wants to keep scoring those runs one at a time, just to get a little bit further away from South Australia. Joey Brown's due for a hit here.
Goes after a high pitch and strikes out. It's one she didn't want to chase. And that's the first out here of the inning.
And that's a good pitch from Shirley Godfrey. Lovely rise ball. You know, to get a batter like that swinging at it, to her credit.
There's Susie Brown in the background. She's on deck, but right now in the batter's box is the shortstop, Lisa Pridham. She had a base hit back in the second inning and scored on Alison Shea's home run. She goes after this one and just foul outside third base.
Lisa Pridham's been a steady player here for ACT this tournament. She just keeps plugging away, and even at shortstop, she's doing a great job for them.
Richard McCready's put on a couple of plays, a stolen base and some bunts. They've also taken advantage of that error, as this one is hit high and deep to left field. Great piece of hitting by Lisa Pridham. Second hit of the ball game. She hits a 2-run homer, and the ACT leads 6-0.
That was right up there, right in her hitting zone, and she took advantage of it. Shirley Godfrey really needs to keep those balls down on these ACT girls. Keeps coming up.
Yeah, there you see it. It was up about shoulder height, and she just lifted it. Hit it all the way over the home run fence. Cleared it easily. One bounce into the back fence. And Lisa Pridham is extremely excited with that effort. And already, even early in the game, this 6-0 lead is going to be very difficult for South Australia to peg back. Susie Brown steps up, second base for the ACT.
Oh, Shirley's got to get that ball away from there. I mean, I think you can see it in her face, she's frustrated. And when the pressure's on, it's so hard for pitchers. Now, what she really needs to do is, you know, keep her confidence up and just keep working to that glove, trying to keep it simple. The more pressure that's on, you know, that's the only thing that's going to work for them.
That was a nice pitch right there on the knees. Susie Brown's not sure, but looked like a strike to me, and a good call by Kerry Franklin. 2 balls and 2 strikes here on Susie Brown. We got 1 out. We're in the bottom of the third inning.
I'm wondering whether Susie thought she should have actually swung at it.
Maybe that's the case. And she chases that one and strikes her out. So that's the second out, and I think that strikeout there was a result of what happened on the previous pitch.
Oh, that's a perfect pitch from Shirley Godfrey. That's what she needs to keep doing, keeping that ball down on them. That's it. That's good pitching.
And here we've got Alison Shea in the batter's box. And last time up, of course, she hit a 3-run homer down the left field line.
Well, the one thing about it, you look at Shirley and body language. I mean, she's looking frustrated out there. She looks like she's in trouble. I mean, that gives the ACT team so much more of an advantage. Come on, Shirley, she's saying to herself, come on, you can do it.
She came in and started the blaze of glory, struck out Kate Judd, and she walked Shelley Moore, but also got Nicole Lawrence out. Got out of a big jam after they'd given up 3 runs, but then has come out here in the third inning, and things haven't gone right at all. Capped by that home run by Lisa Pridham.
It's the hard part about softball. One moment you're right up and the next moment you're right down in the doldrums.
Pridham hits it straight back to her. She'll be happy with that. Throws it over to Annette Fidge at first base. Comfortable play to end the inning, but not before the ACT had 3 big runs. As you see here, this one comfortably back to a well-balanced makes a nice throw over, and Alison Shea is retired easily, but Lisa Pridham did the trick. She hit the big home run into left field, and now the ACT lead is 6 runs to nothing. In the top of the 4th, Natalie Collins came onto the mound for the ACT and had a perfect inning, retired all 3 hitters she faced. Then as we went to the bottom of the 4th, Shelley Moore got a base hit for the ACT but was thrown out stealing. Tiana Westbury to Tracy Mosley. So through 4 innings, the score remained 6 to nothing. The game's now into the 5th innings. Natalie Collins has done a good job since she's come on to replace Carolyn Crudgington. ACT still leads 6 to nothing, but South Australia really need to take advantage of their opportunities and start to get on the scoreboard if they've got any chance of advancing in this tournament. And Danny Moffat leads off here in the top of the 5th inning.
This pitching change for the ACT is really quite good because they're ahead at the moment. They look as if they're going to advance to the next game, so they need to give Carolyn Crudgington a rest.
This ball hit down the right field line, just hooking and just foul. Pretty good piece of contact from Danny Moffat, but it didn't drop in.
It's a great effort from Danny Moffat. There was a sucker pitch on the outside. She waited, great timing, and almost got it in there for a safe hit.
Chases this high one, coming back towards the screen, and yeah, great catch again by Joanne Brown. A lot easier than the last one. She handles that comfortably for the first out.
And Moffat gets right underneath that. That's amazing. She actually hits it, and hits it so far up and behind herself, it's a foul fly.
There's Joanne Brown, handles it comfortably, heading back towards the net. And that brings up Annette Fidge, first base for South Australia. Goes after the first one, off the pitcher's foot, over to Susie Brown. No chance to make a play. Good piece of hitting back up the middle by Annette Fidge.
Great piece of the ball. Again, another change-up from the pitcher, and they wait and hit it right through the centre.
So we've got a runner at first base as South Australia try and get back into the game. There's their coach, Sue Tomlinson, over at third base. Michelle Creek, the right fielder, now steps into the batter's box. She struck out back in the 3rd inning. But goes after this one and rips it. High pitch and just hammers it down the right field line. Throws into third base. Here comes the runner. She makes it comfortably, Annette Fidge. So South Australia start to make things happen. Runners at 1st and 3rd and 1 out.
Oh, that's an amazing hit. That ball's way out of the strike zone. You wouldn't have expected the batter to even go for it. But she gets her shoulders over it, gets behind it, and slams it down there to get the runner to third base.
She actually made really good contact. Natasha Devlin comes up with it. The long throw over to third, just a little bit off the base. And Annette Fidge is in, and now we go back to the top of the order with Tracy Mosley.
That's the sort of batting that South Australia need at the moment. They've got to get their batters out there, being aggressive and hitting the ball hard.
And Tracy Mosley, of course, is the best performed South Australian hitter in this game. 2 identical hits through the middle into centre field, and she'd love to do it again to drive in South Australia's first run. But she hits this deep into left field. This is a monster home run. Out onto the road. She's hit it an absolute mile. And 3 runs come across for South Australia. That is fantastic.
Well, she certainly hopped onto that one. I mean, I think that'd have to be the biggest home run for the tournament. Tracy Mosley, that's a big hit.
Well, we said she was in wonderful form, and no better form than that. She's hit it over the home run fence, over the portable toilets, out over the back fence and into the street here at Homebush Bay. That has gone an absolute mile. We may never get that one back, and it's 3 runs on the board for South Australia.
Well, obviously the change of pitcher didn't worry Tracy Mosley.
Well, South Australia, just with 1 swing, find themselves back in the ball game. They've cut the deficit in half. It was 6-0. Now it's 6-3, and Selena Follis is in the batter's box to try and continue their good form.
ACT might be 3 runs ahead, but they've really got to work hard. Natalie Collins on the mound. You know, she's been a good pitcher for ACT in the past, and this is her time now that she's got to be able to hold them out.
Another hard hit ball, but this time straight at the first base, Alison Shea. It was good contact. but it just ends up in a simple put out at first base.
You have to give South Australia their due this game. They've been hitting the ball so hard. When Crudgington was in pitching, they hit hard, and they're putting pressure on ACT the whole time.
Tiana Westbury again comes up in a very aggressive move, goes after the first pitch, but just hits it down into the dirt. She's already got one hit in the ball game, a single into right field. She also flied out to right field back in the third inning.
Again, Natalie Collins. I think she's trying to pitch the ball too hard here. Normally she moves that ball around in the low area, throws good drop and a little bit of a turn on the ball. But here she seems to be really overthrowing.
Yeah, again, fastball straight down the middle, but it's hit the shortstop. Good contact from Tiana Westbury. And Lisa Pridham throws over to Alison Shea to retire South Australia. You can see here it's just a routine ground ball. But what a wonderful inning for South Australia. Annette Fidge and Michelle Creek both got base hits. Then Tracy Mosley hit it completely out of the ballpark. And right now, it's the ACT 6 and South Australia 3. Another good crowd on hand today, enjoying this very competitive game. ACT have got the 3-run lead, but South Australia, as we've said, have performed very well, been very aggressive. But now it's ACT's team turn as we go back to the top of the order with Sally McCready. She goes after the first one, hits it high into the infield, and Tracy Mosley, the hero with the bat, handles it comfortably for the first out.
Yes, that'll take the pressure off South Australia straight away, getting Sally McCready out. It only gets a little bit easier from here on in.
Tracy Mosley does the job, and that brings up the second hitter in the order, the right fielder, Natasha Devlin, to face Cheryl Lee Godfrey, who came into the game after Kylie Holmes gave up a 3-run homer to Alison Shea back in the second inning. The ACT scored another 3 runs in the third, but since then Cheryl Lee Godfrey has really composed herself and is throwing very well now to the ACT hitting. Little bunt from Natasha Devlin, and she's got pretty good speed but doesn't make it. Great job by Cheryl Lee Godfrey to get off the pitcher's plate, come out, field it, and get the hitter at first base.
Yes, it's not often that you see Natasha do a running bunt, but obviously McCready has seen that the first and third base are sitting right back on the bases, and he's hoping to get a runner on.
Pretty close play, but a really good call at first base, out by just under half a step, and now Joanne Brown with 2 out comes to the plate. She had fly ball to the first baseman back in the first inning, struck out in the third, so she'll be well and truly looking to pick up a hit here in the 5th inning.
Well, I said last turn up to bat she was due, so I think I'll repeat myself and say the same thing.
And she goes after this one, but gets under it again. Tracy Mosley backs out into centre field and can't come up with it. Here comes Jo Brown into second base. There's no one there. That ball kept drifting and drifting. Looked like in the end it should have been the centre fielder's ball, but Tracy Mosley went for it, couldn't handle it, and Jo Brown's on base.
Yes, I think it's up to the centre fielder in that case just to overcall and tell the shortstop that it's theirs. But Mosley, on the other hand, that just kept running backwards. She probably should have run a little bit to the side and back to get that.
Yeah, it ended up a little bit over her head, and she just couldn't get it in the good part of her glove. Looked like it hit her in the palm of the hand and bounced out. So Joanne Brown aggressively just ran it out, headed around first and into second base on the ball that was dropped just behind second. So she's there with 2 out, and Lisa Pridham is in the batter's box.
Oh, nice swing.
That was a great swing. Really got after that one. Of course, 2 hits already for Lisa Pridham, a single in the left field and the home run.
She's swinging the bat hard this game.
Pretty aggressive lead from Joanne Brown at second base.
Yes, I think Shirley Godfrey looks a lot more settled this inning. So after 3 runs that South Australia gained back, she looks a little bit more at ease on the mound.
Nice pitch on the outside corner, just missed. Looked like umpire Kerry Franklin thought it over, but decided that it was outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, really, with Pridham having two hits already, the best thing is to not pitch anything to her. You know, if you walk her, it really doesn't matter. You know, you've got runners on 1 and 2, forced to 3, and with 2 outs, no problem at all.
Yeah, so they certainly don't want to risk throwing one down the middle. She's in fine form, even in this at-bat. She's looked very composed. And that one misses up, and they do walk her, but really no extra damage done. She's at first base, and it's runners at first and second and 2 out.
Well, that's probably what Tiana Westbury said to Shirley Godfrey when she walked out before. You know, don't worry if you don't throw a strike, we'll just throw around this girl.
But now with runners at first and second, they really want to make sure they go after Susie Brown, and you can see Tiana Westbury coming out, just giving encouragement to Shirley Godfrey. Wants to make sure she gets the ball down and they get their best chance to retire Susie Brown and get out of this inning.
She hasn't pitched a strike for a while. She's not far off, though.
Susie Brown lifts this one into right field, but only goes as far as second base. And it's handled by Selena Follis. She takes the comfortable catch. That ends the inning. ACT get a couple of people on base. There was the dropped fly ball by the shortstop and the walk, but no damage done. So now we played 5 complete. It's the ACT 6 and South Australia 3. Well, on the top of the 6th inning, Natalie Collins gets 2 quick outs and then walks pinch hitter Tricia Jones. The ACT respond by re-entering their original starting pitcher, Carolyn Crudgington. There's Collins heading for the dugout. Crudgington back onto the mound. She comes straight in and strikes out Danielle Lovering to end the inning. In the bottom of the 6th, Shirley Godfrey continues a good form, retires the ACT in order. So after 6 complete, the ACT still leads 6 runs to 3. Top of the 7th inning, last chance for South Australia. They still trail by 6 runs to 3. Carolyn Crudgington pitching again for the ACT. And we're down towards the bottom of the order. We've actually got a pinch hitter. Mandy Neller is going to come in to hit for Annette Fidge here in the 7th inning.
That pitch was right in there from Crudgington. She's been great to come off the bench again. She's doing a great job.
And Mandy Neller, just her 8th at-bat of the tournament, yet to pick up a first hit. And Crudgington is straight after her, 2 strikes in a row. I think she feels pretty lucky to have got away with that one. That was pretty much straight down the middle. But Neller laid off it. No balls and 2 strikes.
That was a tough ball for Joey to pick up there. I think she got it on the shoulder, deflected over to the fence. She looks a bit catcher-worn to me, like you tend to feel at the end of a tournament.
Great pitch, perfect location, right on the outside. Mandy Neller lets that one go past, and she strikes out. So we've got 1 out here in the top of the 7th.
And that's just what ACT have to do with the lower end of South Australia. You know, the lower end have to be struck out. They're to do nothing really from their point of view. ACT really want to get out of this easy.
Yeah, they certainly don't want Carolyn Crudgington working too hard as Michelle Creek hits the first pitch. That'll help ACT. It goes straight down to Alison Shea. She treads on the bag for the 2nd out.
And she bashes it down into the ground. Remember last time she was the one who had that hit out of the zone here, and again she's sort of reaching for it again. Yeah,
an interesting style, and one time it worked. Unfortunately that time it didn't. And with 2 outs, South Australia are down to their last out. What a person to have. 3 for 3, a home run, 2 singles. Tracy Mosley's been wonderful in this ball game.
I wonder how she's feeling being 3 runs behind. She's just had a fantastic game.
Yeah, and such a critical game for both teams. Obviously the loser goes out and the winner progresses, and Tracy Mosley's done everything she can to keep South Australia in the tournament, but it looks like it won't be enough. There we are, hard ground ball again. Really getting away some good swings, but this one's foul down the left field line.
ACT are looking pretty confident at this stage. One more out for them to get. It'd be great if it was Mosley. That was close.
Certainly was. I think they wanted that pitch, but it just missed outside. So there's the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tracy Mosley swings through that one. They're going to complete the play up at first base, and the ACT run out victors 6 runs to 3. Pretty impressive performance by their batting team, as well as Carolyn Crudgington, as we see this final strikeout.
Tracy Mosley's desperate to get another hit there. She's just swinging as hard as she can.
And a very happy ACT team. They continue on in the tournament. South Australia have been eliminated as the ACT win comfortably by 6 runs to 3.
Ali, excellent. You know, great home run. 2 runners on. How did you feel at the time?
Oh, it felt pretty good actually. We going into the game hoping to win. That little hit there gave us 3 runs. So I got in ahead and took a little bit of pressure off. A little bit of pressure, just ease a little bit so we get to slow up and just take a breath.
Okay, because Tracy Mosley kept coming back. You know, she had 3 hits and a home run, so they had 3 runs.
Yeah.
How did you feel then?
Oh, we knew we had to keep at our guns, keep going with the hits. Puts a little bit of pressure on when they do get a couple of hits like that, but we knew we could get back at them.
Well, ACT are certainly looking good, and obviously you're going to go well. But I hear you've got a career move.
Yes, I do, yes. Just finished my university degree of teaching and heading up to Townsville next week, actually.
Well, Townsville do need some help up there, so I'll look forward to seeing you up in North Queensland. Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks, Joyce.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's game as we saw the Australian Capital Territory stay alive in the championships. Next week, they'll take on Victoria in another cutthroat elimination final. Until then, on behalf of Joyce Lester, I'm Michael Palmer. We'll see you next week.